Thank you for joining us, guys. We're going to try to see what tier we're going to put each unit in here. I have never done one of these before, and I have not looked at anybody else's tier list. So what this tier list is going to be based on is the strength of the unit, but you have to combo in the cost, the impact it's going to have on a game. So there are some units we'll be talking about which are just not usable simply because the cost is just not that good. But overall, it's going to be its role in the game of Brood War, okay? So we're not just going to look at unit stats or purely or anything like that. It's going to be the unit's functionality, whether it be S down to E. We're not going to use an F here. Because I think all the units have been used and are somewhat usable in the game. So I'm just going to start by picking out a couple units that catch my eye. And I think I'm going to get this one out of the way immediately here. The Broodline. Broodline is an E. It's basically the worst unit in the game. It only comes in the game. If you watch StarCraft 2, totally different unit, but Broodline's still not that great in StarCraft 2. It costs 150 mana from a queen. Even if Broodlings didn't come from the spawn Broodline spell, you would literally cast that spell anyways. It's not a good unit. It doesn't last in the game for very long. It has basically no impact after you cast it other than maybe absorbing splash damage. No, it doesn't cost 0/0. It costs 150 mana. So Broodline, this is the easiest, I think, call to make in the entire game. E-tier unit. And since you guys are asking right now, we're going to go ahead and put the Scout as well. I guess we might be going from bottom to top. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. The Scout, I almost want to put him in D, actually. But let's keep him in E and see how we feel about that. The Scout can be good if you got the upgrades, but the upgrades are so expensive. The Scout itself is so expensive. It costs too much supply. And even when you can get it to work in certain situations, they can just tech right back into something else to stop it. If you're in some kind of mass air battle. It has had some functions in PvZ where you can, like if you're getting Ling all in and you had a Stargate and they didn't make any Hydra Den, and they're not going to tech out of it, you can make a Scout to kill drones, but the Scout is a pretty bad unit. Let's take a look at, let's see here, the Medic. The Medic is extremely powerful and game-changing, but it's not. I'm thinking B or C here. It gets in the way of your pathing. All the units are pretty good in Brood War, let's keep in mind. Optic Flare, not that great. Obviously it can heal, but it's hard to micro. It's not a reliable unit like some of the other units. It's good for following stim stuff when you come in. It does get in the way for body blocking, that is true. I'm going to put Medic into C. We can move these as time passes here. Defiler, easily one of the most fucking insane units in the game. Going right into S. Plague is insane. Dark Swarm's insane. But versus both Terran and versus Zerg. We don't need these units to work in every matchup for them to get high ranked. Yes, Orange Fart is very good. It's got a lot of armor. It's hard to kill. Consume is an incredible ability. I think we all agree S. There's no debate. Can't be A. All right, let's take a look at the Dragoon. I think B for the Dragoon. Maybe C. The Dragoon is good. It's really fucking buggy. If it actually worked like you would want it to, it'd be really good. But, it is great against tanks. It's a solid unit. You need it to push. It would probably be higher ranked if it wasn't so hard to use. So I almost want to put like between B and C, but let's put B for now and see where we kind of end up here. I think we're going to look at the Siege Tank now. Siege Tank, definitely an S. Definitely. Splash damage is incredible. You guys think A? Probably A. Okay, I could be convinced about A. I may put it back up here, but we haven't had anything into A yet. But I guess we have enough gradients. We have 6 different gradients, so, we have to fill some of these areas in here, right? But yeah, the tank is a solid, amazing unit. But you're right. The tank's not... The Defiler, like, alone could completely fuck up everything. Yeah. Yeah, let's put that in A. You guys have convinced me. I agree. The Zergling... I think some people would say A, but I would actually say S for the Zergling. A or S. The Zergling is so fucking good. It's so cheap. It is so responsive as a unit. It's crazy. Cracklings are incredible. But the amount of damage you can eke out with a Zergling is phenomenal. With a couple Zerglings, they're so responsive. So Zerg right now with 2 S tier units. And if you don't believe me, try playing Brood War. Some of you guys are from StarCraft 2, might think the Zergling's not as good as it sounds. Dropship would be a solid B. Dropship is fast right out of the gate. Maybe it's even an A. I'm not sure. No, I'd put it at a B. Dropship is good. It comes with the speed already there. You know, it requires a control tower, sure, but I mean, it's not like that's a hassle to get in a game, right? But it's a very responsive unit. It's cost effective. Terran drops are extremely strong, whether it's, you know, Medic Marine drop in a TVZ or a Vulture drop in a PVT. Mass drops in TVT. It's a good unit. So yeah, we'll keep that at B now. You want to do Shuttle now. Now, Shuttle, I kind of want to put it as C, but when you get the upgrades, it's extremely strong, right? What do you guys think? Shuttle C or B? Shuttle B, maybe? Actually, all right, let's put it at B here. It comes out crappy, but it ends stronger than the dropship, so I think B is an appropriate spot for it. The Queen, I'm going to put as a D tier unit. The Queen has got some cool moments, but it's very, very rare. I don't think that there's that much stopping Zergs from making one Queen here or there. I think it is still underused even 23 years later. But it's not, its spells are not that great. It's a hassle to use. If you get them at all late, you're never going to get the spells you need. The Queen has Parasite, Ensnare, and can infest a command center, Broodlines. But I think, yeah, highly situational. Not a bad unit, but not a great unit for sure. All right, we're going to hold the kitten while we do this. Yeah, I think the Queen easily a D tier. And I've been kind of eyeballing the battle cruiser here. Put this right at a C. It's not an amazing unit. It's got some moments in TVT. It can be good TVZ. It's expensive. It's you know, like the medic, it's got some great abilities. It's very important. You have to have it in certain matchups, but it's not anywhere near as good as some of the other units. Clunky, slow, and so we're going to put that right in the C. So let's actually grab a worker here. We're going to put the probe actually as, believe it or not, as an A tier unit. You think probe S? Yeah, actually, probe S. We may move some of them in S and A and B and C. We'll see about it. The probe can Manor Pylon build on their gas. It can moving shot pretty well. For those of you who don't think it's S, I would encourage you to play a PvP where you get Manor Pylon. It's like one of the best moves in the game. Manor Pylon is like like a Dark Swarm of a Rush or something. Like, it completely changes the way the whole game is going. But I could be convinced to bring him down to A. We're going to have to reevaluate when we take a look at all these units. But if the Zergling is an S, then the probe has to be an S, for sure. For sure. And I think I'm going to look at the Scourge now. Scourge, I'm going to put it as C. Scourge are good, but they're buggy. They're hard to control. You think Scourge is A tier? I mean, they're good. I mean, C doesn't mean they're bad. I mean, the Battlecruiser and the Medic are I'm putting in C here. Yeah, the AI is really bad for Scourge, guys. They're very easy to dodge. I'm keeping it at C. I mean, we'll see, but I don't agree with you guys saying it's an A tier unit. We'll see, though. Just because you see them in all the matchups doesn't matter. We're not going to factor in just because they're in all the matchups. I'm putting it at C, man. It's a good unit. It's powerful, man, like the Medic, okay? But it is not like a Defiler, okay? It's not like a siege tank. A siege tank is reliable, for one, okay? And these units over here in B tier are much more reliable and or responsive. Scourge are good, but you have to, like, over-micro them. Valkyrie, we're also going to put at C. It's a good unit. S. No, it's not S. The Valkyries now are more microable. They would be D tier units in the old Brood War. It's a hard to use unit. It is good. It does have a role, just like the Scourge do. They can be devastating. But dude, in the modern game now, Valkyries are used. I'm gonna put the Reaver up here in A. If the Scarab's always connected, I would put it even better. But they don't always connect. But it's a solid, reliable unit. You can get it. You could kind of at times set it and forget it. Obviously, there's the factor of the Shuttle and the Reaver, but I'm kind of just putting these each as standalone units. Obviously, the Medic is great with the Marine, too, but we're kind of trying to put these in their proper spot. Well, Reaver's not always paired alone with a Shuttle, Andrew. You make Reavers all the time, PvP or PvZ, and just kind of set them up and put them somewhere. Shuttle's right in front of you, man. It's over here at B. I'm going to take the Guardian, put the Guardian down here at D. Very situational. Not a terrible unit, but it's not got a lot of roles. You could cheese sometimes with it. Not very great in all the matchups. You know, the Valkyrie, at least, there are a lot of builds you can do. TVZ here. It is a microable unit, but you're basically giving up a muta to get it, which is kind of a crazy concept when you think about it. And while we're at it, we might as well just put the Mutalisk up here at S tier. And if you don't know, I mean, just watch any TVZ. Mutas are probably the least powerful in ZVP, and even for me, they devastate me. ZVZ, the entire matchups around them, they're the most microable unit. They're completely insane. I don't think we have any arguments. I don't even think anybody thinks the Muta should be A, right? Firebat, I'm caught between C and D here. I feel like a Firebat's D. It's not even good for what it's supposed to do. It's actually kind of weird because if you're just into, like, the game lore, you would assume, like, oh, these are great against, like, Lings. They're not even that good against Lings. Very situational. I think they can play more of a role in a Terran vs. Zerg especially than some of the others. You know, like a Guardian, for instance, in a lot of the matchups. But I don't think it's a great unit. I'm tempted to put it in C, but I think it's kind of at the high end of a D. I'm probably going to upset some people with this one. And maybe this is my Protoss bias here. Templar, I'm putting it B. Obviously, Storm is amazing. It doesn't... I've enraged the chat here. They're slow to cast. You guys are so mad at me. You guys think it has to be an A? It's slow to move. It has no HP. Yeah, B makes sense to me. Arctos just woke up in a cold sweat. I'm leaving him at B. Let's see. We can review this at the end and kind of see where everything ends up. But it's Storm is great, guys. It's a fucking good spell, okay? But it's not. I mean, I think a Reaver and a tank are better. Damn, I've really enraged the chat with this one. You need a Storm as a unit in the tier list. We'll come back to the Templar. While we're on that, we're going to take the Dark Archon and put this down here at a D. Not the most handy unit, very circumstantial. It is good. It is a good unit. E, no, I don't think so. There's definitely important pro games where you need to get a Dark Archon, just like you need to get a Queen sometimes. Maelstorm's fine. I mean, maybe you can get Mind Control in one of these games. It's possible, sure. Overlord, by the way, we're going to put Overlord as a B tier unit. It's good. It's responsive. It's slow to start, but obviously you always get speed in the long game. And you can mass drop with it. It's a detector. Yeah, I mean, it's a good unit. Tempted to put it in A now that I'm saying all this, but I don't think it quite has the impact. Overlord Escus gives you supply. Let's take the SCV here. We're going to put the SCV somewhere between low C. I'd almost want to put the SCV at D. I mean, it's great that it can repair, but that's, you know, kind of a Terran feature, but it doesn't heal over time, which matters for scouting, so it's the weakest scout, basically. It can block your buildings. I'd almost put it in D, except that it can, like, it's actually like a worker. It can do all this other great stuff. Yeah, guys, C is not a bad tier, by the way. I don't want you to take the... I mean, there's D tier units in here that you can use. E is where we get to the area where it's like, oh, I don't know, man. Devourer, we're actually going to go put him in E. The Devourer is... It does not seem to have functionality right now. Right now, I actually am unaware of when Devourers are supposed to be used, if at all. I know we've seen them in the history of pro games, but they just don't seem to... I don't even know. Does anybody... Somebody let me know if you want to in the DMs or whatever. If there is some kind of role for the Devourer that I don't know about, but it doesn't... It seems to be a dud unit. Again, you give up immunity to get it. Not a great thing. Let's go with the Hydra list now. We're putting the Hydra at A. Easy A, right? I'm tempted to put it into S, but I mean, it's not as devastating as what Mutas can do, Lings can do, but it's almost an S. Almost. The more I'm looking at it, maybe I should move the Templar back up here. All right, this makes more sense. You guys are right. This is my bias as a Protoss, being like, I lose games because they snipe this thing, but yeah, okay, this makes more sense here. So I'm going to put the DT, actually, you guys might disagree. I'm going to put this at an A. I think a lot of people would think B. I think StarCraft 1 DT, one of the best units. If you're good with a DT, even if you're bad with a DT, it's good, but it's tanky. It's going to one-shot a lot of stuff. If you're good at controlling it, you can hit mines before they come out of the ground. We're not counting it so much as in DT rushes with no detection that make it strong. It's just, it's actually a good unit. It doesn't cost that much. And so I think A is completely fair. A fair place to put it. Vulture, easily fucking S. Anybody who thinks the Vulture is not an S tier unit is insane. And frankly, I almost thought that the tank should be an S. I'm actually kind of surprised you guys think it should be an A. Yeah, I mean, the Vulture is right up there with, like, the Muta, with, like, just insane amounts of stuff you can do with it. And it's cheap. It's practically free. Looking at the Observer here, we're going to stick the Obs, actually, over here in C as well. It is a slow unit that can be shot very easily. It needs all the upgrades. I mean, it's good when it's got the upgrades, but, you know, it's not a good unit, okay? I mean, it can detect, that's great. It's invisible, which you would think would be good until you play against good people. The drone, I would just put as a, about a B tier unit. Maybe C, but I think it is a little bit better. But it's a very responsive unit. There's a couple cool tricks you can do with it as well. Why is drone above SCV? Drone can heal. Drone can moving shot, and SCVs can't. Drone can turn into an extractor and cancel and get its HP back. The drone can supply cheat. I wasn't really thinking about it like that, but yeah. But I mean, it's a good unit. Drone can fly, yes. And while we're at it, let's put the Zealot here at B. Or do we think Zealot should be A? I feel like a Zealot would be B. But maybe I'm wrong. I could be convinced. Zealot A tier. Yeah, upgraded its A. Yeah, you know what? Zealot is actually pretty good at fighting. The Vessel. Yeah, I convinced. Zealot's an A tier unit. Let's take the Vessel. Vessel's B. I don't know if people think that it would be an A tier, but Vessel. The thing about the Vessel is it's very responsive. Maybe A, actually. Yeah, what am I saying? If Templars are going to be up here, fuck that. The Vessel's going to be up here. Yeah, Vessel's A. Because the Templar is a piece of shit compared to the Vessel. Templar gets sniped and it's hard to control. Vessel can fly and it detects. What are we talking about? I'm almost ready to put this into S. It can EMP my Arbiter and completely ruin the game for me. Is this supposed to be an S tier unit? EMP is garbage. I think A is fine. A is fine. I'm putting the Ghost down here in E. It has not had any real role. It's not good. People have tried for so long to make it work, and it doesn't work. Does anybody disagree? At the most, it would be D. Archon, I'm going to put it at a B. Maybe even an A. I'm tempted to put it in an A. For the way this list is lining up. Sorry, I can zoom in more. Forgive me, chat. I feel like the Archon is an A-tier unit. Very responsive. Not great in all situations. Expensive in EMP Rexit, but you don't usually... You're never making them in PvT anyway, so it doesn't matter. The Marine, I'm going to put it at B. Looking at the Ultralisk here, I feel like the Ultralisk actually is an A-tier unit. It's very responsive. When you get the upgrades, it's fast. It's devastating. Wraiths, I'm going to put in the C category, which may upset some people. They're good, but they get killed almost immediately. It's cool that they can cloak. They've got a role, but, you know, all the units that are in this area have problems. And these units also have problems, but they're more immediately used, if that makes sense. And Scourge are used all the time, but they are buggy. They're not great responsive units. Kind of like Firebats are used pretty often in the matchup for TVZ. Dragoons I would actually put in C again, but I think that if you look at how much of a role they play, maybe Scourge should be in B. I don't know. The Carrier, I'm going to put it at a B. It is, it's a good unit. It requires a lot of micro. I know that people that lose to carriers might feel like, yeah, mass carrier is really scary, but usually, you know, once they've gotten a mass carrier, something went wrong along the way. What do I mean by responsive with regard to the Ultralisk? I mean, when you right-click it, it moves, like, immediately. Like, some units are more quick to respond than others, like Hydralisks. Very microable. The Reaver isn't better than the Carrier. The Reaver is definitely better than the Carrier. You can do way more with one Reaver than you can with a Carrier. Looking at the Lurker, I'm thinking S tier. Or possibly A tier. Yeah, I kind of feel like they're S tier. I'm tempted to put this at S. It's such a linchpin unit. Lurker's B, you're insane. Let's see here. The Corsair, I think, I guess a B. It's good. It's a good unit. Not a C. It's more responsive than a Valkyrie or a Scourge. I think the Corsair is a great unit. It's just, like, not as devastating as some of these other units. Kind of has a good role in kind of controlling the Zerg. Disruption Web not used. The Goliath is the buggiest Terran unit, but we're going to put that at a B. It's still strong. It's still devastating. All these units up here in A, with the exception of the Reaver, are basically very responsive. The Templar, the Reaver are not, but they're still pretty damn good. Infested Terran we could put down here at E. Although I could almost see it being in D, except that, like, people aren't using it. I'm not a Zerg expert. And then that leaves us with the Arbiter, which I'm actually going to put at a... I want between B or A. Because they are actually some of the least responsive units. Stasis is slow to cast. Recall is actually kind of sometimes slow to cast. They also win you the game, but yeah, so do carriers. Actually, I don't know. I keep forgetting they cloak everything because I'm not thinking about that when I'm playing. Maybe A. Their abilities are S tier, no doubt, but they're not responsive. So much health and shields. Yeah, but they would just be terrible if they didn't have health and shields. Stasis and recalls are as strong as Defilers. I don't know, maybe, but, you know, you can stop them once and they're gone, where Defilers, they can keep spamming it out. What do we think? Take a look at this. Anything to move here. The only thing I could see moving here is I could see having the tank at S, and I could see having the Arbiter at S. How does that feel when we look at it, though? The thing is, these units are real devastators, right? These units are all very good and absolutely necessary and responsive. When you guys say Archon B, I don't get it. I mean, the Archon is such a good unit if you control it well. Yeah, I could see Overlord going into A, actually. Yeah, Overlord in A makes more sense. And honestly, I feel like the dropship is an A unit anyways. More stuff is filling into A here. A shuttle is not responsive when you first get it, though. Dropship with the shuttle. Yeah, I don't know. We should put it back down here. Overlord's really good, though. Yeah, maybe dropship doesn't need to be A. All right, guys, that's my list. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I love you guys. Oh! Is he gonna go for it? Here we go!